Hello everyone, I'm Priyanka. So it's post lunch and you've been soaking in wisdom all day. The struggle to stay awake is real, right? By the way, on that note, raise your hands who all are physically here and mentally somewhere else, perhaps napping. Well, I was approximately 10 years back in a deep corporate world amongst mails, PPTs, presentations that could put anyone to sleep. You know how some people wake up one day and just know their calling? Well, it wasn't me. For the longest time, my world revolved around corporate. But then, it was my mother, who had always been my pillar of strength, kind of a lady who never slowed down. She used to take care of everyone around without asking help for herself. But one day she did slow down. She got weaker. And deep down inside, I knew something was not right. A visit to a doctor confirmed that she has been ignoring her own well being while taking care of everyone else. You know how mothers are, relentlessly and selflessly working for others. My mother was vitamin deficient and a case of hypothyroid. I saw her struggle for the first time. There was sudden weight gain in spite of no change in diet, hair loss. She used to get tired very easily, weak bones, joint pain, and whatnot. And the only solution provided by the doctor was a bag full of medicine. I still remember that brown paper bag which was always beside her bed, and she used to pop in those medicines every morning. Now, another spur. Right after my pregnancy, life has its own way of throwing curveballs. Mine came in the form of thyroid. Yes, might be genetic or whatever pregnancy symptom. By the way, I'm a mother of a beautiful 8-year-old who has accompanied me today here. Now I had two options. First one, to accept that my metabolism had ghosted me and continue to feel bloated like a zombie. Or learn everything about nutrition and fight back like a mom on mission. Obviously, I went with option 2. I started to read more and more about food, hormones, metabolism. I stopped obsessing over corporate strategies and deep dived into nutrition. I was more interested what was on my plate rather than what was on my desk. I was determined to help my mother, myself, and all other fellow moms who were going through the same condition. And I surely knew that medicine is not the only solution. Do you know 1 in 10 Indians suffer from hypothyroid, out of which most of them are women between the age group 35 to 50. And the most common symptoms are weight gain, brain fogging, depression, mood swings, weak bones, joint pains, and whatnot. I would like to throw some light on how I was able to cure my thyroid. Yes, I was able to cure my thyroid after 4 long years. It is very important to know what to eat, when to eat, and how to eat. For instance, how many of you here think broccoli is healthy? Of course, broccoli is healthy. It is full of vitamins, minerals, and antioxidants. But it can be a bit tricky if you have hypothyroid, because it can interfere with your hormone production and increase your thyroid level. Same goes with spinach and cabbage. Soya is considered to be a great source of 9 essential amino acids, but it can also interfere with your iodine level. We have always heard that if it's green, it's healthy, right? But that's not the case. Food cannot be generalized, it's personalized. What is good for others may not be good for you. I was able to reverse my thyroid with change in my eating habits, diet and exercise, weight training, and most important, yoga and pranayama. And one needs to be diligent and consistent with this approach. Remember, your diet and exercise is a long-term relationship, not a bad Tinder date, right? Before I knew, I was handing out diet advice instead of baby wipes, and accidentally became a go-to nutrition guru for all the fellow moms around. That's when I thought, why not make this a career? And that's how I went from being a corporate employee to teach people on carbs. But it's rightly said, we make a living by what we get, but we make a life by what we give. My real aha moment came when I visited my husband's native town in MP. While working on a family business there, I came across some incredible women and got a first-hand look of their daily struggles. Despite government efforts, many lacked access to basic nutrition. That's when I thought, why not share my part of knowledge with them? After all, they were my folks. I still remember I was sitting with a group of women, educating them about the importance of value nutrition. One of them came up to me and sagely asked, "Beta, ye sab to theek hai, par avocado kaun hai?" That's when it hit me. While many social media influencers were preaching about the goodness of quinoa and avocado, no offense to them, they're doing a wonderful job in cities. But these women in rural area didn't even have access to basic dietary staples. That's when I thought I need to change my approach. I need to provide them with the food and nutrition which is locally available and accessible to them. And most important, what is suitable to their local Jalvayu. Few questions to be asked here. Why a woman in rural area struggle to find high overpriced oats when bajra is right there? Why talk about avocados when sarson ka saag is packed with so many nutrients? The reality is, over generations, our bodies have adapted to thrive on local food rather than imported food which is trending, right? Here I would like to talk about the theory of nutrition transition. It was a theory which was introduced by researcher Barry Popkins in the year 1993. He very well in his theory explained the shift from traditional high-fiber local food to highly processed food with sugar and carbs, which eventually led to increased number of lifestyle diseases. You would be surprised, rather shocked to know that Indians have the weakest heart. Around 60% of the world's heart diseases and attacks are in Indians. 67% of Indian women are anemic due to overconsumption of junk and poor diet. India has over 106 million diabetics and 136 million pre-diabetics. Now, these were the alarming consequences as a result of nutrition transition. And the shift back to traditional and local food was much needed. Food is not just about nutrition, it's also about availability, accessibility, and cultural relevance. Basically, food is our culture. I'm sure you must agree on this. So in my case, some of the major areas where rural women were struggling was, they were anemic, weak bones, joint pains all the time. All the women, I'm sure they complain of like some of the joint pain or something. Then they used to have low immunity. So from my knowledge, whatever I was able to gather about the local food which is produced in that area, since my husband also belongs to an agricultural family, I was able to educate them how they could fulfill their local nutritional requirements through the food which is available to them. An average woman in India needs around 70 grams of protein every day between the age group of 35 to 50 with a moderate lifestyle. So from my knowledge about the local food like boosting legumes and lentils for protein like chana dal, arhar dal and moong dal, although they used to have this before, but they used to have roti. Chalo, 4 roti khali, thodi si sabji khali, but what about the dal? What about proteins? It was not fulfilled. So I educated them that protein is also important. Pet bharna zaruri nahi hai. You need to have balanced diet. I also told them about the concept of a complete plate, what a complete plate should look like. Protein, carbs, veggies, fiber. They didn't know before that. Then I promoted flax seeds for omega-3 since fish was not easily available in that area. Then local greens like amaranth, bathua, moringa, because most of them were anemic and had low hemoglobin. Then for their calcium needs, I promoted ragi because most of them, they were suffering from osteoporosis, joint pains, weak bones. And last but not the least, amla for immunity, which is a great source of vitamin C and also helps to fight UTI and other infections. So through my knowledge about local area and nutrition, I was able to educate these rural women and transform their health for their betterment. And they were not actually dependent on the high supplements. Over the years, our government also has supported this cause through various initiatives like Eat Right India Movement, Poshan Abhiyan, organic farming, then promotion of millets, subsidies and incentives to farmers. I would like to say that our approach in this should be modernized rather than westernized. I hope you all understand the meaning of modernization and westernization, which means we should be modernized in our approach rather than westernized. We should make use of the technology for upgrading and enhancing the local and traditional food rather than just blindly following the Western templates, or which is trending for that matter. So my transformation journey from being a corporate employee to a nutritionist and then working for the rural women welfare took me closer to the concept of Ikigai. I'm sure you all must be aware about this concept. For those who aren't, it's a Japanese concept where your basic goal is to align 4 major elements. First one is what you love, which is your passion. Second one, what you're good at is your vocation. Third one, what you can be paid for is your profession. And fourth one, what the world needs is your mission. So when you align all these 4 elements, you reach a deep sense of fulfillment and purpose. For others, it may be, they can start with what they are paid for and gradually move to other element. Some may start with what they love and gradually integrate other elements. So each one has their own journey of Ikigai. It's all about self-discovery and adjustment. In the end, I would just like to say, since you all are students and you stand on the threshold of your new journey, so your goal should not be just to find a job. Rather, it should be to find a purpose and meaning of your life and earning money as well. So the world is all yours. You are the people with vision and talent. So go out and thrive. Thank you so much.